All right, we are live. The Texans YouTube channel is a weekend gift giver, and they've been giving us gifts every weekend. Even though it's not the best time to release stuff, they don't care because they want us to have content when sports media is entering the doldrums. So we got DeMeco Ryans mic'd up yesterday at OTAs, and he's really, really good. Every time I see anything with DeMeco, I get more and more excited about the new energy that there is on this team. So I'm gonna play you just the very first thing that got me going, and then we'll dive into some of my favorite parts of it. I linked the episode at Texans TV below. Drew Doherty and the gang always do an incredible job with this. So give Drew Doherty his propers and click on this when you're done. But just at the very beginning, here's DeMeco.
Now, bam, slide through. You off the hook. Now look up. Yeah, right there. Oh, yeah. Bam. That's that money window. If you like making money.
I don't know.
All right. Okay. All right.
He hasn't shown us yet.
Hey.
There's he's messing there with who was that? Number 4 is now Tavir Thomas. So I think Tavir Thomas is getting married too. That comes up in a little bit, but I pulled out like 5 or 6 good chunks of DeMeco. I've got to talk about JJ Watt and his admonishment of sports media for going over the top and criticizing Will Levis. He went back and forth with Landry Locker a little bit, so that's really cool. And then I went back and I watched some of Drafthouse by Overtime Season. That's a good YouTube channel, but a couple of you had told me about this, but I didn't realize because I wasn't paying as close attention to specific guys before the draft, obviously. But CJ Stroud, Will Anderson, and Bijan Robinson were all in a house together doing this sponsored gig for Ram Trucks. And there's something about Will Anderson that got me really excited. So we'll go through some of that. But like I think some upside for Will Anderson that I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about, or at least I just haven't been paying attention to it. So back to DeMeco and his brilliance at training camp, where there's just a whole new level of play and fun, and he's just a different style of coach than we've had here in a little bit. Here's him talking to Dameon Pierce before practice.
DP show up today?
Every day.
Oh, okay. All right. Just checking.
So Dameon Pierce shows up every day, as we know. I don't really have a hot football take about that, other than that I think Dameon Pierce. Do you remember when Dameon Pierce? Excuse me. It was oh damn it, with the Sox. Charles, help me out, everybody. With the Sox during Hard Knocks, they used to go back and forth at it with Bill O'Brien. Dameon Pierce is the kind of kid that I think can get away with just about anything in terms of talking smack to a coach or anything, because coaches just naturally love. Thank you, Charles James II. It's been a good weekend day. Not with the Astros loss notwithstanding, we got it going early on. So the next one is. I don't want to play too much of it here because you guys need to go and check this out on the Texans YouTube channel. So, but I pulled some clips. CJ Stroud and DeMeco had been talking, kind of going back and forth with each other, and CJ was saying, "Oh, I've got a defensive coach now. Does that mean you're only happy when the defense does well?" And DeMeco says, "No, baby, it's not like that." And they're just he doesn't say it exactly like that, obviously, but they have a good time with it. But then DeMeco made a very good point, and this is true. He said that CJ will enjoy playing for a defensive coach because of this.
Main goal on defense: take the ball as many times as possible.
That's why I love the little scripture.
To give y'all more shots on goal.
Yeah, more shots on goal, as many times as possible. Take the ball away, and I do think that is something. As you see, when you guys will go and watch this mic'd up, you can see just how down in the dirt DeMeco is getting with the defense. And I'm cautiously optimistic about that. That sometimes that ends up being a little bit much, with Gary Kubiak early on. I think he was an offensive coordinator who had defensive coordinators doing their own thing. And maybe it remained that way somewhat until Wade Phillips came along and could actually handle that side of the ball. And I don't mean to take anything away from Gary. Gary was a very good head coach in the persona side, the motivational side, all of those things. But he was so elbow deep in the offense that I don't know. I think it took him a while to figure everything out. This was let's see. This
Main advice I got when I was up there.
Okay. Main advice I have when I was up there. He's talking about marriage now, the actual wedding, and I think he's talking to Tavier Thomas. It might have been MK Stewart. I'm not sure.
Main advice I got when I was up there is, hey man, just don't lock your legs. You lock your legs, then you mess around and pass out up there. Then.
Yeah. So it's key advice. Oh, and then this I hadn't heard before, and this is really good wedding advice. I don't know why. I think I did this, but sometimes when you're getting married, you're just kind of so awestruck by the moment that you don't think of stuff like this. It's very basic and good advice from DeMeco to one of his players about how to handle your wedding day, not wedding night. It's not that kind of show.
You make a little eye contact with her coming down the aisle, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. Best decision you can make right there. Best decision you can make. Okay,
so make a little eye contact with her as you're walking down the aisle. That's big. Make that connection. Sometimes when you're reading the vows too, it gets a little bit weird, I guess, because you're out on display in front of everybody and you're having this intimate moment, and you don't want to ignore the preacher. He's got feelings too. So the eye contact, without overthinking it, be sure you make eye contact with the bride on your way up, and then obviously to everybody else, people who have wronged you and the way you're going to get back at them someday. The bride's father, give him a look, like in a wink, maybe, like, you know what I'm up to tonight. But the other thing too, DeMeco, I'm trying to pick up some of his kind of cadences and verbal habits. I think he might be a repeat it again. He might say everything twice when he's trying to punctuate a point.
Best decision you can make.
Best decision you can make. Somebody asks, did you write your own vows or freestyle it? We had a very brief ceremony. I think that so we didn't do like a heartfelt this to you and her to me or anything, but I did on the wedding video. I gave a nice talk like directly to her that was reportedly very good. I should play that for you guys. So that was my first clue that I might have some verbal skills above and beyond just grunting while I bench press. The schedule team in 5 minutes, not enough for him to teach the players. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and he talks about that in this. Okay, so back to let's see. Him coaching up Christian Harris. This is where I get excited because Christian Harris, guy that is still raw in a lot of respects, despite having played at Alabama, but still raw in some respects. And when it comes to the pass coverage side of things, I loved seeing DeMeco Ryans talking to Christian Harris about pass coverage.
He's jogging up the field, jog up. I need to be out here, outside. He's right there. He break out, I'm here, and if he go in, come back. He go in, he got him. Now I'm on this guy.
Yeah. So like that's nothing. That's some pretty basic stuff, just talking about passing off and zone coverage. But I think like this is you can see the energy and the focus. And just how he works with these guys. Again, I don't want to go too far with him having a direct effect on the linebackers themselves, because when like Mike Munchak was one of the best offensive line coaches, in my opinion, and still is one of the best offensive line coaches ever. Like his guys, because I used to play against his guys twice a year, and it was just a pain in the ass because they were so well coached, and average players would be really, really good. When Munchak was an offensive coordinator and or a head coach, the offensive line suffered because of it. Now, offensive line, it's a way more nuanced, that much more technique. There's technique to every position, but offensive line especially. You couldn't expect Mike Munchak to necessarily have that big an influence on those guys, but DeMeco's not going to be as good a linebackers coach as a head coach as he was as a linebackers coach or as a defensive coordinator.
Man, slide through, you off the hook now, look up, yeah, right there. Bam. That's that money window. If you like making money.
I don't know.
All right, okay, all right.
He hasn't shown us yet.
Hey.
There's Matt Burke saying he hasn't shown us yet. I just like that part of it because he showed so much energy and emotion and verve, and that's been a departure from David Culley, a departure from Lovie Smith. And really, I mean, it's a different type of energy than Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien, there was a there was a whole lot of MFing going on at times. And it's not like he couldn't be positive or anything. And I don't think that every football coach needs to be positive all the time. But DeMeco has that really good balance. And he's talked about when he was younger, he had to learn to not drive quite as hard and to reel it back in. But this energy is it's just different. And the youthfulness, I don't want to overstate the youthfulness because there's plenty of old guys, Andy Reid, they're doing just fine. But it's just, it's a breath of fresh air over what we've had. So second part, this is, we're going to take you through a little bit of something I didn't even know was going on until JJ Watt called it to our attention, because I saw JJ with a message on social media and I was like, what is he talking about exactly? And it was this initially. It was Dov Cleveland with this update that Titans rookie quarterback Will Levis had a tough day of practice this week at team OTAs. Levis reportedly struggled with inaccurate passes, made bad decisions by throwing to double coverage, dropped a snap from the center. But Levis said he won't beat himself up. And then, so I went digging a little bit, and then here's a video of one drill where you're going to watch Levis shuffling through these bags, guys swatting at him, turns around at the end and launches a ball way over that target. It's not clear to me whether he's actually trying to hit that target or not. Watch the way his feet set up and where his eyes are. I don't think that was as bad as the way they had made it look. But that's what JJ was talking about, was people were crushing Will Levis for having a bad week of practice. And also, let me know, you guys haven't complained about the volume or the audio on the videos yet. I'm without my headphones, so I just want to be sure it's working. Let me know if for some reason you can't hear JJ right now. So this is JJ weighing in.
Rookie has rough practice in his first week of OTAs. Yeah, that's called being a rookie. It's called first week of OTAs. I had rough practices every single year of my 12 years. I've had rough games. I've had multiple rough games. Like, shit's hard. It's the National Football League. Like, this is part of the reason why it's tough for guys to develop, because we're judging everybody on every single individual rep every single day. We're posting videos online of practice reps and guys working on their craft and guys trying to do new things. It's one of the reasons that guys are scared to try a new pass rush move in one-on-ones in practice, which is when you should be working on your pass rush moves, because they're scared that somebody's going to film it and put it online, and because they got blocked, now they look like an idiot. Like, let guys develop, let guys grow. I understand this is a business. We're paid millions of dollars, and you expect greatness right out of the gate out of every single guy, and you're going to say, suck it up and deal with it. But let's let guys develop. Let's let guys get some practices under their belt. Let's let guys get into the league, and let's let them grow as a player. Let's let them get some NFL coaching. We don't need to be shitting all over guys on their first week of practice in the National Football League. Just let them grow.
I will not let them grow. This is something that it's a good message by JJ. I think the one big point that he makes in there about guys being afraid to try new things, that is true. I never had to deal with the social media side of it, but I can remember just as a player, depending on who your defensive line coach was, sometimes you'd want to try something new. Hold on a second. You'd want to try something new and it wouldn't work. And then like your coach is trashing you and like yelling at you for losing a pass rush down in one-on-ones or something. So like, and that's bad coaching, obviously, but imagine that times 400,000 people on social media. That drill that we saw with I almost said Ryan Mallett with Will Levis. Yeah, look, he might have been trying a different finger placement on the ball. He might have been messing with the footwork. He might have been actually aiming for a target somewhere to the side of that target because it wasn't the drill. There's just no telling exactly where he was going. But there's also this, and I don't want to be taken up for Will Levis. I would like as much stress as possible to be put on Will Levis. But I think there's this curious dynamic where the same thing happened with Malik Willis because the draft media falsely inflated these guys up into being first round picks, or with Will Levis, a first or second overall pick. And then they end up falling. And when in reality, were they actually falling? Will Levis ends up being a number 33 overall pick. He's a second round pick. And it's getting treated like, oh my gosh, he's a bust of the century because he's not looking good as in their minds, like a number 1 or number 2 overall pick. He's a second round pick. It's like the media was wrong. They flat out were. I watched, you guys know, I told you guys, I watched 12 different NFL quarterbacks, quarterback coaches, former GMs. I didn't find a single one that was actually excited or intrigued by Will Levis. So I don't know where the crap was coming from with various anonymous quotes or anything, but like nobody, I couldn't find a single person that was genuinely excited about Will Levis. So JJ's got a point. I think, like part of it though is that's the NFL media. And that's fans too. But it did make me think of Matt McGlinchey, who in 2018 was a rookie and he got destroyed by J.J. Watt. The write-up at the time said August 16th, 2018, McGlinchey and the 49ers took part in a joint practice in Houston against the Texans. Watt repeatedly lined up against McGlinchey in one-on-one and team periods. All eyes were on the matchup as McGlinchey recently had been chosen as the number 9 overall pick in the draft. He was my welcome to the NFL 5 years ago, McGlinchey said. He flat-backed me in training camp when we were there when I was a rookie. That was in a combined practice. And I remembered this well. The one I really remembered was in a one-on-one pass rush. But before I play this next clip, remember, McGlinchey has gone on to, I think he's making like $17 million a year. But this is what it was like for him that first training camp against J.J. Watt. Okay, so this is the best video I could find. It's these two guys right there in the 3-point stance and the 2 3-point stances. This is kind of a bogus run drill, but JJ's wearing the dark blue. And McGlinchey just gets wrecked. So he just gets destroyed. And people with the 49ers made a huge deal out of that. It also made me think of Jose Urquidy because as Mark Berman had pointed out earlier this week, Mark Berman just took a shot of Urquidy throwing. He was throwing for the first time this week. And you can see Urquidy's kind of short-arming it. He's got short arms to begin with, so he's absurdly short-arming it. But he's coming back from a shoulder injury. He's trying to take it easy. And a lot of people took note of that and were like, hey, what the hell's going on with him? What's going on with him is that he's undergoing rehab. Even shock jock Sean Pendergast said, dude, Urquidy is throwing the ball like an actor playing a baseball in a B-list movie. Think Tom Cruise shooting baskets on the playground at Cocktail. I don't remember that, Sean. I'm not as old as you. But I'm not going to let some shock jock like Sean Pendergast disparage Urquidy, who's obviously just trying to take it easy on his shoulder. But this is what happens if you have a shoulder. Because I had a couple shoulder injuries as an NFL player. And you go into some gym because you had surgery in like January and you're working through your rehab, maybe on vacation or you're traveling. You go into some gym and people in there know who you are, and they're wondering why the big guy that plays in the NFL is struggling with 185 on the bench, and it sucks. And that's before social media. I can't imagine what it's like if you're an NFL defensive end and you're struggling with 185, and some kid at the gym takes a clip of it and puts it on social media. So, yes, shock Sean. For those of you who don't know me, Sean Pendergast is my co-host on Sports Radio 610. So, I think that JJ is going to get into media of some sort. He might do a podcast. There's a period your first year when you're doing it where everything feels a little ridiculous and overhyped and stupid. But within time, you go full JJ Redick and you embrace it. And now Redick still kind of criticizes like the severe stupidity, but I think he's found a good balance between being aggressive but also understanding, like, all right, yeah, this is how we pay the mortgage. Gotta have hot takes about stuff. Not super hot takes, So this is, let's see. All right. Overtime Network. No, what's it called? Overtime Season on YouTube did a series called Drafthouse, and they had Bijan Robinson, Will Anderson, and CJ Stroud. They made it look like they were living in this house. I don't know. It looks like it's the first luxury home built in what will one day be a luxury housing development, but it's like it's a really, really nice house with a bunch of dirt and gravel all around it elsewhere. Somewhere in, like, I'm guessing the southern U.S., but not so south that it's nice in the winter. It's got that bleak Mobile, Alabama look to it. But some very good content coming out of it. And I went through a couple different episodes and found some really good stuff. But the Will Anderson stuff that I found, there was a part of it that got me excited. Some of it's just some good old-fashioned, hype up football content. Sean just won't let it die. Look at that. All right. So in this part, Will goes back to his high school, Dutchtown High School. You see they won a bunch of stuff. They never won a state championship in football while he was there, I don't believe. A loser. But he's in the weight room, and he's excited about seeing some of the old things from the weight room.
And my name's still up there. I think my name still might be up there. Okay, now I am on here. I'm on somewhere. I'm right here. Power clean, number 4, Will Anderson.
Okay, so that's a big one. I'm not giving some backhanded compliment here. I think it's notable that Will Anderson is a physical freak in a lot of ways. But he's up there for, he's got the 4th best ever power clean or hang clean or what have you at his high school. And he wasn't in high school that long ago. And that's the one category, because Will Anderson is a guy who's still growing in some respects. And I don't think that you think of him as that guy, because it's not like he was a late bloomer whatsoever.
Will Anderson.
But watch when you see
my relationship the weight room clicked my 10th grade year of
here he tells too, because he was a running back his sophomore year. He's almost like that's what, Marcellus Wiley went to college as a running back and then just kept growing. He was an extreme late bloomer. But Will Anderson was a running back his sophomore year, didn't want to move from running back.
High school, when my new coach first got there, he was like, "You weak. You ain't strong. You weak, man." He was just trying to break me, and he did. And that's how my whole mentality changed. And after that day, I was like, "Coach, you know what? I want to get extra work in." And I started challenging him. That's when I was like, "Oh, I can do this. Like, I'm built for this."
Yeah. In that part, like, there's a few parts in there, and I'll show you a little bit of one of his workout montages later, where you can tell, like, all right, you went to Alabama. He was the captain and beloved at Alabama. He can take hard coaching. He wants it. He works his butt off, all that stuff. But I want you to watch closely as his high school principal, who still loves him, just absolutely loves him, shows a picture of what he was like in high school.
Who is this?
Look how skinny I was.
Look how little.
Look at that little guy with a big head. He looks like, I think he was 240 his freshman year, but that looks like, that's a small dude right there, like with skinny little arms. He doesn't look like Myles Garrett did. I know Myles Garrett is a bigger human being in general, but Myles Garrett looked like a full-grown man in a lot of ways.
You remember that day?
Yes.
Signing day.
That was on signing day, so that was his senior
You set
year.
a great example.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
you
tried,
did.
dude.
Okay, and then
First official time I remember switching to the edge was actually
okay, so he's talking about switching to the edge.
in high school, my 10th grade year. I remember telling Coach Rogers, like, "Yeah, Coach, I play offense." Because I wanted to play running back. And he was looking at me like, "Oh, no, buddy, you going to go play defensive end."
Okay, so that's where he told the story about going to play defensive end. This is his high school. This isn't his high school. His high school coach is at a different high school now. So he went to go work out with a couple of his old high school coaches. And just to give you a glimpse, 2 things here. One is how hard he's working. This is like a circuit. I don't want to say a CrossFit style, except that's what people would mostly know. But basically like a constant motion, lightweight, but just brutal CrossFit style workout.
Okay, here we go.
But look at, Will Anderson has he's got a huge lower body. Like, he's built for power. He's got a big ass and big legs, but like, he's got room to grow on his upper body. He looks almost like
Coach
svelte.
Clifford Fed.
Like an
he
old
ran his
school
program
defense.
so much similar to Alabama, and it changed my whole mindset.
Come on, 5. Come on, go. Come on.
These guys, okay, the rule is they got to keep going. If they stop moving for more than 3 seconds, they get kicked out.
Get him out.
I like these guys.
They out. They both go. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out.
If the ball stopped for more than 3 seconds, they got to get put out.
First man, second.
They had to go run a lap. They said run the bus route. So I don't know. Like, there's some guy. I guess they got to run like where the buses drop everybody off.
Set. Everybody ready? Everybody.
Yeah, and that's you got to understand what I'm telling you. Like, as yoked as he looks right there, like that's a yoked dude, but that's not like Joey Bosa. I don't think present day Von Miller. That's not yoked like those guys, and it's not. And I'm showing you these workouts because he's not afraid to work whatsoever. Sometimes when you get to the NFL, you start getting a little bit more less on like this high volume side and more on like hypertrophy, putting on muscle, like pure muscle.
Ready?
He might
He
be a 262, 263 within a couple of years and be able to. The key is he could hold it very comfortably. I want to take you guys back to the old days there. Let me get us back up here. They get booted out. They come back in. I thought his coach did a good job there selling it because, like, obviously.
First man, second set. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Here we go. Pick up the weight.
Quitting is not an option. You can't run, you walk.
No matter how much shape you in, every time you get done working out with them, you're going to look like you haven't did nothing ever in your life.
Yeah. Okay. So here was Will Anderson. This was after his freshman year. He went from 235 to 243 in 2021. So like that's the trajectory he's on. And it's not a big deal. I mean, there's plenty of really good defensive ends that have played at 250. But I think he's got more strength in him. And I always try to figure out, like, why is he seemingly almost stronger against the run on the power side of things than he is versus the pass? And I think that some of it is that, like, your true power comes from your hips and your butt. And I think when it comes to anchoring versus the run, he can get good pad level and get under there. When it comes to kind of getting out of being stalled out when you're on a pass rush and you're up against a bigger guy, sometimes that does come down to upper body strength and just body weight as well. And I think that's where he's probably still got room for improvement. Like, I don't need him gaining 20 pounds or anything, but like, he's got the want to, and with some physical maturity, it might end up being really, really cool. I threw in another few things here just from
It's the dog.
Oh, okay. Just fun stuff from Will Anderson and CJ Stroud on this overtime season Drafthouse. I want this at my high school, and I don't know why they don't have it. Oh, son of a bitch. Told you it's been a good Sunday. The Astros game was good to me from an entertainment standpoint. There we go.
It's the dog cage right here. It's like where we used to all be at as a team before we somebody open it up and we would just go out, run out to the field for the game. But we had people hanging on it, crawling on top of it and everything like that.
Crazy.
I don't. That's the kind of stuff you do in movies, and I feel cheated out of my high school experience, and I never had anything like that. That their stadium would be packed. They were really, really good, and people would be. I get this vision of this rural Georgia high school where they're not worried about getting sued because nobody ever sues anybody because the trial attorneys haven't made it out that far. So yeah, the kids are up there doing backflips off of the cage, hyping everybody up before they get let out of the dog cage. And then this is him. They spent a good amount of time with him and his 5 older sisters and his parents, and it was very, very heartwarming. So here's one of the heartwarmingest moments of this heartwarming scene.
She's the second oldest. This is all called my mama bear.
This was my baby before the babies.
That's right. You have one mom. Just imagine having 5 more moms in the house, and all of them wanted to be your mom and not just friends, not just a sister. They all want to boss you around, but they also wanted to spoil you and love you at the same time. So it had its pros and its cons.
And then, okay, one last one to leave you here. This is CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. They had a I don't know. These guys have never played this before. I don't know how.
Stop playing.
There it is.
Oh, we good.
Yep.
Not good. Man.
Oh my
Damn.
Let me take you back. Let me show you. CJ was disappointing, except he gets a huge pass because there's no they're not at regulation distance or anything.
Stop playing.
There it is.
Oh,
We good.
not good. Damn. Oh my
Damn.
Look like Michigan.
Damn, get some on the board at least. Oh, there he is.
There you go.
Hey, take your time. We love that.
No, sir.
Hing.
Hit that thing in there.
Three. Oh, you can knock down. You can put all those in there. There. Oh my God.
He's folding on me.
It's some bad cornhole.
They just folding. Roll time.
They were at like carnival distance for like free throws at a carnival.
Grips here.
I don't. Is cornhole's kind of passed though, hasn't it? It's not like there was a stretch there where you couldn't go anywhere without there being cornhole, and I feel like these guys maybe they missed that wave.
There. Oh my God.
He's folding
And they're standing behind,
They just.
so we'll forgive him for that. Those two guys, we might have drafted two of the worst cornhole players in America there, but we don't need that. Let me ask you some questions. Then I'm gonna go. Let's see. Man, watching DeMeco coaching got me ready to run through some brick walls for him. Me too. I am so I'm usually not a sucker for propaganda, but this propaganda, I'm letting it propagandize me. It's good stuff, man. He's just got so much energy. The Drafthouse is pretty cool. Yeah, it was. I did like that series. J-Rock might have been the guy that suggested it to me. A lot of funny stuff from DeMeco, the marriage tip, and CJ Stroud asking about the bad day, good day with the offense and defense. Yeah. Highly encourage you click on that link. I got to add the link to the Drafthouse. Apologies to those guys for the millions and millions of clicks that they won't be getting. I couldn't remember Charles James for some reason early in this episode. Just as honestly, I don't know if you guys picked up on it or not, but I couldn't remember cornhole there towards the end. So it's been that kind of evening. Did you write your vowels or freestyle? I mean, it was my vows, but my vowels I usually let take care of themselves. The schedule team and 5 minutes. Yeah, that was part of the mic'd up DeMeco deal. Reception is always better than the wedding anyways. Yeah, we had a very, very short ceremony, and it would have been shorter, but the judge that we had hired to do the vows was pretty drunk. And he had like the standard set of vows that he wanted us to look at. And we basically struck out just about everything. He had various the Bible passages and everything that he wanted. And so we ended up going with like a couple verses from the Bible and a couple poems, like very, very quick. And we had a band playing, like a jazz band playing for the walking up and during the ceremony and everything. And then we were out in like it was like 7 minutes. Should have been less, but my point about the judge being drunk was it was supposed to be like a 3-minute ceremony, and then on right into the reception. We had the reception right there, so people could go in, and the bar was open immediately, and it was that part was cool, so everybody had a good time. The divorce is always the worst. Yes. Okay, how did you react to new head coaches? Did you feel like you had to act differently and make a good impression on them? Or did you feel like most players just act the same? There's definitely I think it's called the Hawthorne effect in science, when people are being studied as part of a study, but they know they're being studied. They're not going to act like they do in their natural habitat. So that's totally the case. Big Hawthorne effect. Like you know that you're being really scrutinized, and probably like in college, it's like this to an extreme degree now. You got a new guy coming in, and he's going to have his own thoughts, and they're going to have their own draft picks, and they watched you on film, and maybe you're not like his type of guy and his type of scheme. So they get a better effort, like obviously you try hard every year, but there's that extra edge of having to prove yourself that I think can be good. And the thing about DeMeco, and I think with Nick too, is that they're both aware of the pitfalls of thinking more about a guy and how he's going to be in your scheme than you really have any ability to. A lot of times guys will come in and they'll think, okay, well, He was playing in a 4-3 before. Now he's going to be a 3-4 or vice versa. And he doesn't really fit my scheme. And then they just write him off. When in reality, some guys end up being that ends up being the thing that takes their game to the next level. But both those guys are smart about that. Been a fly on a wall for a little minute, but in here, only coaches we've had. We in here, only coaches we've had is Kubiak and Ryans. What's a Bill O'Brien? I don't understand the question. Okay, it's good. Blue, red, and white, we're here to fight. We are the Houston Texans. All right, Bubba. JJ Clout. No, he's not. Stop it. JJ was giving his. I think JJ's going to experiment with a lot of things. There's like so many different things you can do in media now, including just podcasting or YouTube or anything. And I think that for a lot of guys, we're seeing this already. They like that freedom of a podcast and without having to get up and wear a suit and give a big take in 45 seconds that ends up having half of America hate you. I think a lot of guys are going to go the podcast route. I know that Jason Kelsey did that broadcast boot camp, and I think like he'll be really, really good doing whatever he wants to do, and his podcast is already successful. I wonder if he might just end up. He seems like such a genuine dude. I feel like the podcast is perfect for him, especially once he starts interviewing people. Let's see. They should be able to not fold under pressure in practice or social media. We're men. Shit ain't easy, but we don't want their panties. Wet their panties? I don't know. I get what JJ's saying. The biggest knock on Levis. That's true, Booger. Then he throws poor accuracy in practice. People are going to talk about that. Yeah. I like, and to be clear, like I totally get what JJ is saying, but it's fighting a losing battle. It's kind of like, one of the responses that JJ actually laughed at was like, I hate it when athletes come on here and act like we don't know we're being irrational. Like, yeah, of course we're being irrational. There's guys, especially when it comes to another team's quarterback, people are going to pile on. There's no ration or reason about that. It only took me about 15 years to figure it out. So JJ's going to have a fun another 15 years. Except JJ's dealt with a lot of online hate already, so he's had to learn how to handle a lot of that. That's why it's called practice. Yes. Will and CJ have really good chemistry. Talking about the Drafthouse series, I've noticed, like even with the Henry Toa documentary, that didn't have that many views immediately after the draft, and now it's got a ton of views. And I mean, part of that's just with time, something like that's going to catch on. But I think a lot of Texans fans have really bolstered that. So good job, Texans fans. Ryan Reynolds, I'll take that. Shit. I mean, I get every now and then, I get Case Keenum, I get Ed Helms a lot, which it's the most accurate one, but the least desirable one. Brian Cushing when I'm a little bit slimmer. John Rocker back in the day when I'm a little bit slimmer too. I get a lot of that. But Ryan Reynolds, I don't, unless you're talking about like when Ryan after he was burned really badly and everything. If that's what you mean, then freaking thanks, man. Jeez. In the Daredevil one, not Daredevil. What is he? Tell me the names of the movies that I'm thinking of. I don't have Sean or Meltzer here to figure it out for me. It's past midnight. Go to bed. Did these? Oh, dude, those workouts. Yeah, I know. It's see, son of a bitch. You couldn't let me have Ryan Reynolds just for a little bit, man. You couldn't just let me. Couldn't let me just, feel like, whatever. That's cool. Deadpool. Thank you. All right. We will, tune in tomorrow morning, 6 to 10 a.m. Shock Jock Sean Pendergast will be there. And I highly encourage you to check out both those series. I will link the episode 1 of the Drafthouse down there. The other one should already be there. Oh, and like and subscribe, please. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, share on social media. We have a good time in here. Usually, frankly, I'm not drunk. But it's a little bit drunky in here tonight because the Astros lost.